What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block for December 12th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me, as always, that retro code, Edward Varnell.
Shinobi remake done by Ninja Theory, exclusively for Switch, E3 2018. Let's do it, Nintendo. Yes! Hi, everybody.
Ed, sometimes the things you say are just so out there.
I was thinking about that before we started the podcast. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Your thoughts are out there? Or about
well,
Shinobi?
My thoughts are out. well, actually both. But yeah, I was just like, that'd be cool if Ninja Theory touched Shinobi and brought that series back and made it Switch exclusive. Like, I would love to see Ninja Theory work outside of Sony and see what they could do on a Nintendo platform or even an Xbox platform.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'm just excited we're getting Bayonetta 3.
Yes, I've been watching. Dude, I was watching that episode like 4 or 5 times, just seeing us excited and talking about it. I was like,
dude, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that. There's so many Switch games, and the 2018 roadmap is starting to finally reveal itself. So
yes,
excited. I'm so excited.
Street Fighter, the 30th anniversary collection.
I know, we're getting there. It's in the news. But before we get to all that, because there's a lot of Capcom in our news. But Ed, what have you been playing? What have you been playing since last time?
It's just
Edward.
Hi.
Edward, you went away.
Yeah, because you froze.
You froze.
Right, you with this and you stuck there, and I was just talking. I'm like,
You froze.
Oh.
Anyways, all right, let's try this again. Ed, what have you been playing since the last time we recorded?
Okay, so I've been playing Assassin's Creed Origins for Xbox One. At level 20 now, going to do a little bit more side quests so I could get to more of the story in the game. Just like really enjoying it and unlocking my skill tree and stuff. And I realized that you could upgrade some of your old weapons. Like when you pay a certain amount of money, you could upgrade them so you don't have to like throw them away or keep them. I mean, not throw away or keep them, sell them. So I've been just unlocking new stuff and like building up my points, so when I get to my next level and I have that point, I'll go to one of the 3-point things and just unlock it. So working on that. Hopefully I'll be done by next week, because I'm probably gonna be playing it every day. Haven't started anything for PS4 yet, but I am going to be popping in Neo so I can start that, and Super Lucky's Tale for Xbox One. I'm gonna pop that in and start that. Also need to start Battle Chasers, Night War. Need to start that also. For 3DS, I've been playing mostly Yokai Watch, Fleshy Souls, playing it little bit by little at work, and when I'm waiting in the car for something, I've been playing it. So I think I'm done with some of the tutorial stuff, and I'm about to get into chapter 3, and then I'll be able to move on with that game and enjoy it. But most of my gameplay this past Saturday was on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I finally got past like I think the first chapter or something, or second chapter. So I now have my party of 3. We were kicking the crap out of the boss. Like, to get to a certain point, like a lot of my money, I had to sell a lot of extra accessories the enemies were dropping and stuff. So now that I got my 3-party group for right now, I'm able to finish some of the side quests. So I think I got 2 more side quests, because I gotta find some gears from one of the townspeople, and I gotta finish the crane mission. And once I finish that, I'll be good to go. But yeah, I'm getting further along in that game, and it's still in my Game of the Year nomination. So
nice.
So yeah, so that's what I've been playing. Picked up Lego City Undercover for $20 today. Literally brand new copy. And also picked up Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I have Conquest, but I don't have Birthright. So now that I got both games, hopefully I can return to that game and play a little bit more of it. But yeah, that's what I've been up to, what I've been playing, and about to start also Titanfall 2 on PS4. Beat it on Xbox One, but I'm going to play it on easy for PS4 so I can get all the collectibles for it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, for me, I didn't really get the game a lot this weekend. Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm trying to finish that. But I've run into an Xbox specific issue where, like, sometimes like the textures don't pop in, and like while I'm walking through the towns, it looks like the textures just aren't popping in, you know. It's like that glossy kind of like pre-rendered look, you know, that you get in some environments when like the textures don't pop in.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I was looking it up, and it's like it's an Xbox specific issue if you don't have an X. So I've been running into some of those issues, but I'm really trying to finish that before, you know, I really try to dive into anything else. And I like my next thing, you know, I have Xenoblade to play, I have Horizon's Frozen Wilds to play, and I have Breath of the Wild DLC to play. So like,
yeah.
Assassin's Creed went from I'm going to try to do everything to I'm in hurry up mode now. You know, but like all those question marks, man, I got to go find out what's there. Just have to. I just have to find out what's there.
And like the question marks are the way to level up to unlock part of those stories. Because right now I'm at a point where I'm strong enough to fight one of the parishioners or something like that.
Like the bounty hunter things that come chasing.
Yeah. Oh, the Philandas or something like that. I'm right now I'm able to handle the level 20 ones, and then I'll be able hopefully get stronger and be able to go through the rest of the game. So that's my plan for that game. But yeah. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
Other than that, honestly, this weekend was so busy, and like when we sat down to record, like I was working on some things for NGR 2018 stuff, and I haven't sat down. Like I turned on the Breath of the Wild Champions Ballad quest, like, you know, I downloaded it, I popped the game in, and like the things it wants you to do, I just didn't have the time to sit there and like really have the patience to do it. The way you unlock the quest, you have to go to these 4 locations on the Great Plateau, and use the special weapon that they give you to. I don't really know what you have to do, and like this weapon like it kills everything in one hit, but the drawback is like everything can kill you in one hit. And like I just didn't have the patience to sit there and do that 4 different times. And I think you have to destroy something in the areas or whatever. But like I just have not gotten around to doing it, and I wanted to play it so bad so we could talk about it today. But I just haven't really played anything other than Assassin's Creed this weekend, and Xenoblade. I got past the first probably like 2 hours, and like I'm on the Titan that you land on after, that first kind of main thing that you do. So,
after you beat the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that's where I'm at, and I need to keep playing that game. I'm happy a lot of these games are on Switch that I can just kind of like, play it in handheld mode. But like, I want to experience Breath of the Wild, the first chunk at least, on the TV. So I don't know. I'm working on NGR Radio's Twitch channel. Matt and I were talking about this earlier. We want to start, our Let's Pod and Plays, Ed. We want to start streaming them, and then Matt and I want to start streaming some stuff like Bloodborne and Fortnite. And Matt and I think are gonna do a Dark Souls Bloodborne series or whatever, like where we kind of play through them together.
Okay.
Because he's like an expert and I'm not. So like there's a bunch of different things we want to do, and if I can stream it, it'll be easier to rip from Twitch to put on our YouTube channel and stuff like that. So this is kind of part of the reason why I'm taking a break from the other shows is because like I'm working on new intros, new music stuff for intros, for our shows for 2018, because I want 2018 to feel like not like a reset, but kind of like I want to make everything feel fresh for everybody again. So, so that's kind of like really what I've been working on. But I really want to play Zelda so bad, man. It's just like it's sitting there waiting. So maybe this weekend or in the next couple days, if I get off work early, I'll be able to sit down and play. Tonight I'm going to play some stuff. I think Moose, Matt, and I are going to stream some Fortnite this week.
Yes.
Because, that was the other game I was playing. I was just telling you about this before we started the show. Fortnite Battle Royale. Been playing. I played. They've been wanting me to play with them, so I'm like, okay, I should probably practice before I play with them, because they've been playing for like 2 months now, or whenever it came out, they started playing it, and I was like, I should probably know what I'm doing before we start streaming that stuff or playing squads or whatever. So the first two matches, like I was like, okay. I was looking at the map on the party bus or whatever, battle bus. I don't know what it's called. Battle bus is what it's called in Fortnite.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I probably want to go to an area with buildings, because that's probably where all the good stuff is. Like, the point of the game is you start with nothing and you gradually find stuff so you can be prepared for that last battle or whatever. And so I landed in like this airport hangar the first time, and I was like running around the airport hangar, and somebody had already landed there and found like a weapon and killed me within like 10 seconds. And I'm like, oh well, that sucks. That's not a great first experience. And so I was like, the second time I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go over here to these buildings that are tall and multiple levels, and I'll land on the roof of one of the buildings and kind of work my way down, right? And like I landed on the roof and I found a sniper rifle, and I jumped off the roof because I was like, I want to get a feel for the game. So I jumped off the roof. I want to see how fall damage was like, and like my health went from like 100 to 11 by jumping off the roof of this building. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna die soon. And sure enough, like someone runs up to me with a pickaxe, and I'm like trying to sit there point blank him with a sniper rifle, and he killed me with a pickaxe. I'm like, okay. So I played like 10 rounds, and I had 2 really good rounds. So one round I made it to the final 8 people, and like I started at the edge of the map and just kind of crept my way to the center of the map, because it's like it's not about kills, it's about just surviving, right? And like
right.
I was like creeping through. I found this shack. I found a sniper rifle and some ammo. And then I found this like tower type thing, and I found a shotgun. And then I find this overturned semi as I'm creeping to the middle of the map. And I find an assault rifle with like 60 bullets. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to go. And then I find another overturned semi, and I find medical supplies. I'm like, all right, I'm really ready to go.
Yeah.
So like I have a sniper rifle, a shotgun, an assault rifle, stuff to patch me up if somebody shoots me from long distance. So like I'm creeping, and I'm like trying to hide in the bushes and kind of like walk behind things. And all of a sudden, like, I'm in the final 8 people, and I get 2 kills on my way there, like, because people can't see me, and, you know, I have a shotgun, and I just kind of chase after behind them and shoot them in the back, and, well, it's
How many people does it start out with? Is it like 50 people or 100?
It's 100.
Okay.
You know, not every game's 100 people, but, like, the goal is to get 100 people. Like, I got in a match with, like, in the high 80s and the low 90s. People quit before it starts and stuff like that. So, like, you're usually playing with, like, 85 to 90 people, which is still pretty impressive. But, like, dude, that number goes from, like, 95 to high 60s in, like, 10 seconds, dude. When people land, when they land in the same spot, they're just, like, punching each other to death, you know? So, like, I try to stay away from where people are landing and just kind of creep towards the middle. Because, like, I don't want to... If I start at the edge of the map, nobody's behind me, so I really have to focus on what's in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, the circle gets smaller and smaller, obviously. You know, the PUBG Battle Royale type thing, where, like, the map just gets smaller and smaller until, like, they force you into combat situations.
Yeah.
So, my best match, I got to the final 8, and I was shooting this one guy, and I ran out of shotgun ammo, and he shot me before I could, like, reload. So I was pretty proud of myself, though. I survived to final 8. It was pretty impressive, for me at least. So, but yeah, that's kind of all I've been playing, really. It's fun though. Like, I see the hook. I see why people like it. I don't know. Like, I'm glad this game was free, you know.
Yeah.
So I could try it out, and I don't know. You know, we have Arsenal X, which is our podcast, our Xbox podcast, but like, I don't know if I'm gonna get PUBG or not. Like, I see why people like it, but like, I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure it out, and it's a fun game that you could play with friends over and over again. But like, I'm glad I didn't pay any money for this game, you know, for this. I don't know. Maybe it's better with friends. Maybe it's better with squads, and they're doing a 50 versus 50 mode now, where like there's teams of 50. So we'll see. But I really just want to get back to my Switch games. So yeah. Video games are fun. Speaking of video games, we've got a lot of news for, you know, the end of the year.
Yes.
So Capcom, there's a lot of Capcom news. Mega Man 11, we talked about last week. Mega Man 11, Legacy Collections 1 and 2, all confirmed to be getting physical releases for Nintendo Switch. So for you physical collectors out there you go. I'm excited. But also coming to Switch in a physical package is Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection.
Hadouken!
So, Ed, why don't you tell us what all is coming in this 30th Anniversary Collection? There's 12 games.
There's 12 games. So, in this collection, you're getting the original Street Fighter. And to let everybody know, these are the arcade versions. Not the Super NES ports or anything like that. All arcade. So, you're getting Street Fighter, the original one, the first one that came out. Street Fighter 2 World Warriors. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Edition, Super Street Fighter Hyper Edition, Turbo Edition, you know. You're getting Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3. You're getting also Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So Second Impact and Third Strike are like revisions where they added more characters and changed some of the gameplay balance. Street Fighter Alpha 1 to 3 is a retelling of how Street Fighter actually started. So they're somewhat like side games because the Ryu that you play in these games, he has red hair instead of black. Because in the original Street Fighter, when you play it, you see that his hair is red. Now, it's kind of weird because they started adding characters from Final Fight, like Cody, who was the main character. He's like in a jail outfit. And if you guys play Street Fighter 4, you know what I'm talking about. And he wasn't in the original Street Fighter series, even though Final Fight was supposed to be the sequel to Street Fighter, which that ended up changing. Street Fighter 2 Turbo or Hyper Fighting, that was based off a hack that was happening in arcades, where you could throw fireballs in the air, teleport all around, like weird stuff that you could do. So it was kind of unofficial. So Capcom made a turbo edition of that game. So those are the 12 games that you're going to be playing on this in this compilation. Don't know if there's going to be any extras for right now, but May 2018 is going to be the release for the game for all three consoles and PC. So I'm definitely interested in getting this because a lot of people really haven't played the original Street Fighter. People who own Street Fighter Ultra or Ultra Street Fighter 2, that's still a game that you guys could keep, but if you want the arcade experience, you might want to get this game. And Third Strike is one of my favorite Street Fighter games, and people should play the Alpha series. It was really good. I had the Alpha series on all three games for my PlayStation when they each came out.
Nice. Yeah, so this is part of the I'm really surprised that they kind of with this announcement, like they announced this for every platform, but with this announcement they kind of said with this announcement that they're like actively looking to support Switch. This is a quote from Capcom. Switch works better than expected, and we want to port more games, even if they didn't appear on a Nintendo console in the first place. The company is interested in bringing more ports to the Switch. That's according to Capcom's CEO. I'm not even going to try to pronounce name. I'm sorry. They would like to port more Capcom games to Switch. On top of that, he said they wanted to bring games to the Switch that were not previously released on Nintendo consoles. So for me, that means like I'm sure like Resident Evil 1, 0, 4, 5, and 6, you know, those remasters that they did for Xbox One and PS4. I'm sure those are all coming. I'm sure what else is there?
It would be good if the Devil May Cry collection that Xbox One and PS4 are getting, that 3 collection, that new version, that would be good to come to Switch.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma would be a great game for people to play that game on the go. You know, as successful as Skyrim is and The Legend of Zelda, people will be crazy not to play that. You got the Dungeons and Dragon games, the arcade ones, or the Capcom arcade classic, or Capcom classics, I think is the combination. That would be good on Switch because you get about good 20 some games on Switch, and you know, Volume 1 and Volume 2, they were only $20 when they came out, so that would be a good fit for it. Lost Planet. You know, if they could rework the controls for Lost Planet and Lost Planet 2, or even make the trilogy of Lost Planet on Switch, that would be a great thing to do. Like, there's ways to go about it. I think Dark Void was one of them too. It was like that Rocketeer one, but it had like bad controls or something. Like, they could bring that. Like, a lot of stuff from the PS3 and 360 days, they could like tighten up, fix, and port it to Switch.
Yeah. I think Capcom fits right at home on Nintendo. Like there's a lot of companies that like, you know, maybe you wouldn't think would support Switch and are like Bethesda and Square-Enix. Like I really think Capcom fits right at home on Switch, and games like Resident Evil fit there. Mega Man obviously fits there. I think, you know, with depending on the success of Bayonetta, maybe we will see a DMC come over. You know, it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of when, not if, now on a lot of these games, and so I'm excited. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to port Resident Evil 7 over at some point. So we'll see. And I'm excited. I would probably be more likely to try Resident Evil 7 on Switch. You know, I don't do scary games, but we'll see. Speaking of companies that want to support Switch, Square Enix says Switch is very attractive and important platform for us. Square is very much interested in Nintendo Switch and are bringing their older games to the platform, sort of like what Capcom is doing with their games. Sorry, wow. The Switch is very attractive and important for us. As a games company, having the breadth in our portfolio is very important, and the Switch is being such a unique piece of hardware, said Square Enix CEO Yosuke Masuda in the latest issue of MVC. He also said, one of our big initiatives is to get as many of our past titles available via digital releases. Among the younger generations of gamers, you've got a lot of people out there who have heard of our past titles but never had the opportunity to play them. He also pointed out Square Enix isn't just interested in releasing straight ports of older games, but that those older games have to be modernized as well. Just straight ports isn't cutting it. We need to update and modernize them to make them something that works for modern gamers as well. So, to me, that means the updated versions of Final Fantasy 7 and 9, the PC ports. You know, I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere we're obviously getting. But this also means, for me, like, what if they bring Kingdom Hearts over? What if they bring Final Fantasy 10, 10-2 HD, Final Fantasy 12? You know, like some of these, you know, older games that haven't appeared on Nintendo consoles before. So,
right.
I'll be excited when they start, you know, using titles in their examples. But like that's enough to be excited about that Square is at least interested in doing it.
Yeah, probably maybe some of the WiiWare games that Square made come to Switch.
Or like even Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, the updated version from PSP. Or, you know, like you said, the WiiWare stuff like Final Fantasy 4, the After Years, the sequel to Final Fantasy 4, if they do like the complete package or whatever. So, yeah. I'm interested in seeing a lot of those too.
I would be down for a Final Fantasy compilation, like 1 to 3,
kind of like what they did on PS1, like the Origins and then Chronicles and Anthology and all that stuff. So yeah, I'd be super interested in that too. Let's see here, Ed. I kind of have a negative story, so stick with me here.
Okay.
There's an interesting article on Nintendo Today that says, is Doom on the Switch a failure? Doom on the Switch is a great technical achievement and arguably the best looking game on the console, but despite its graphics and despite the Doom brand, the game has not been a success on the Switch. The game only managed to make the top 20 on the best selling games on the Switch eShop just once and never cracking the top 10. Bethesda is aiming to bring a lot of their catalog to Switch, but at this rate, do you see it past year one? Next year they want Wolfenstein 2, and then what else does it say? It says Skyrim is doing great, but Doom just isn't selling well at all. How does that make you feel?
People are still pushing for Doom, and I think people are fine with it. Um, Reason why it's not selling well is because they released Wolfenstein 2. So, in that time span of Wolfenstein 2, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Super Mario Odyssey, like you had top tier games, and having that going against a port of an older game, um, and that's just how some games are, that they're hot when they come out and then it kind of drops off. I would say that just Doom on Switch over time, I think it's going to sell. It's not going to sell rapidly fast, because people are still getting the system, and depending on if adults are getting it versus kids, it's a you kind of got to wonder, are people picking up Doom for their a teenager or for another adult, or is there kids who don't know about Doom but want to play something bloody and violent and that their parents allow on the Switch? Are people selling Doom to those parents to give to their kid? Mm-hmm. So, and it's weird because when kids go into a retail store and they want Call of Duty or Battlefield or some of the N-rated first-person shooters, there's parents that just allow it. So when you're talking about what you do in Doom to a parent who has a kid who likes to play these kind of violent games, once they hear you talking about demons and shooting them and the stuff that you could do, they kind of say, "Oh no, no, no." So it is, at this point in time, I think it's sold well. It wasn't never going to be the big hit that it could have been, because as much as it sold well on Xbox One and PS4 when they originally came out, Doom didn't last long neither on those systems. People got it, played it, and moved on, and there was really nothing that was taking that Doom really had to compete when it first came out.
Yeah.
On those other systems, Doom had 3 other games to compete with, and then you even had like 3DS and Amiibo stuff that Doom was competing with. So it was at a time. I think it was at a time, definitely on a week when people don't get paid. They're not going to pick up any games until they get for payday. But I think Doom will get a moderate success. And I think Bethesda, hopefully they're happy with the sales that game has gotten on Switch.
Yeah.
I would just say, if people ask what game do you recommend, and whoever, age and whatever parent allows, I think people will recommend Doom, because it is the Christmas holiday and Hanukkah has started. If people are getting Doom right now, it's going to become a hard game to find, because I've been selling out of Doom at my job.
Yeah. For me, it's like I wanted Doom to do well on Switch, and like honestly, I think it's doing as well as it needs to.
Yes.
I like selling like 3 million copies when no, Doom's not going to sell 3 million copies on Switch. Like I think, it having competition when it came out, plus like the week it came out, it was also like on sale on Xbox One and PS4 for like
right
a quarter of the price, which, may or may not have helped the Switch sales, but like at the same time, I get it. If you own one of the other consoles, like, you're going to play Doom on the other console. It's the optimal way to play that game. But at the same time, like, I bought Doom on Switch because I want to support the third party on Switch. And, like,
yes,
Doom is a technical marvel, and I wanted to show, like, one person isn't, like, end all be all, but I wanted to show my support to Bethesda and say, like, look, I'll buy your games on the Switch if you keep releasing them, and that whole voting with your wallet thing. And one plus one plus one, you just keep adding those numbers up, and it'll add up, and you see that with in the negative way in EA's in Star Wars Battlefront. People are not buying it, and they already dropped the price $20, and they already are putting the game on flash sales on consoles. And you see, like, there's these images going around on social media where, like, games were selling out on Black Friday, and Battlefront still had like a full rack or 2 full racks or 4 full racks of games because you do it wrong, people aren't going to buy your game, and the message is going to get out there one way or another. And like, Bethesda's been doing right by gamers. Even during the Game Awards, they had hashtag Save Player One, and all their games were on sale, and that was great. That was awesome. I wish I could have had some money to buy some of the games on PS4 or Xbox One, just so I could support them. I unfortunately, with the holidays coming up, I gotta save my money for other things, but at the same time, I think Bethesda, I think the sales numbers are where Bethesda expected them to be, and I think that's where they want them to be, and I think they're fine with that.
Yeah. So another thing that people have to think about, Splatoon 2 is the age appropriate shooter for a lot of Nintendo fans, because a lot of kids are getting the Switch, with adults also getting it. So I would say, if you're going to recommend Doom, make sure you know who's going to be playing it and what the age is, because you don't want to sell a game like that to a parent who's going to give it to a 9 or 10-year-old. You want something that this is for 17 and up, and if you allow it as a parent, really take the ESRB into your selling tactics and stuff. Like, keep that in mind, because a lot of parents don't know that if you just sell a game based on popularity, they're not going to understand the content that is in that game, and it might not be appropriate for that kid.
Yeah.
And some stores will not take your copy back. Some stores will literally exchange that copy for another copy because it's unwrapped or used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think Doom's going to sell just fine on Switch. I think it already has sold just fine. I think Wolfenstein's going to sell just fine, and Skyrim is obviously going to sell like Skyrim does. It doesn't matter where that game is, it sells. So that's kind of really gonna do it for the news. There's a couple other minor things. Bayonetta 1 and 2 are getting a special edition in Europe and Japan. Of course, it's not coming here. But the physical copy is up for pre-order on Amazon. You have to type in Bayonetta 2 Switch. There's no image. It's like this really weird, like, listing from when, like, when the Switch was first announced and they were up for pre-order. Everything was kind of like this weird, no image available, kind of weird subtext until they get the listing up there. But it is there. I pre-ordered it already. So,
and can I tell people why Japan and Europe are getting these special editions and we're not? Bayonetta 2 sold more in America than the other two combined. Nintendo is a hard sell in Europe, so they have to do these collections that's going to entice people to buy the product. They're doing the same thing with Japan, that if it's enticing and they can get the right market to buy this game, they'll pick it up, because Bayonetta 2 really got ignored in Japan and a little bit in Europe. We here in America, we love Bayonetta as a character. Some people are really big fans of her, controlling her and playing the games and stuff, dressing up as her, doing cosplay, fan art and things. So it's a big seller here in America. We would love to have that limited edition collector set, but if those games don't do well in Europe and in Japan, it kind of hurts this series. They'll market it here very well. Nintendo would be smart to do that, but they got to get the players in Europe and Japan interested in playing this game and picking it up.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't need a special edition really for anything anymore. I like to have certain ones, but like at the same time, I mean, I have so much stuff that I just don't have room for it, But I am excited for Bayonetta 1 and 2 in February. I'm really excited just to have those games on Switch, because like going back to Wii U trying to play those games is like, but my Switch is right there.
Which is funny because I just bought Bayonetta 2, just a single pack for the game for like $10 at my job, like brand new for Wii U. And when we got the announcement, I was just like, yeah, I'm paying the $60 for this game. I don't even care that I'm getting a download code for it, even if I gotta go buy another memory card, like up it, to have it on my Switch and playing it, and hopefully a little bit more detail, like they did a little bit up-res with it. Playing with the Pro controller. I hopefully I could just be able to play that game with my Xenoblade Pro controller. I just can't wait. I literally cannot wait to be beating up demons again. Yeah. Like it's gonna be fun.
Speaking of the download code thing, Japan is getting a physical copy of Bayonetta 1, but at the same time, the download code for 1, the pack-in code is a limited time thing again. So if you want Bayonetta 1, I guess for free or whatever, like, yeah, you need to buy it when it comes out, because like they reprinted it for Wii U and it didn't come with Bayonetta 1. So yeah, so that 2-pack's going to be a limited run thing. But on top of that, speaking of ports, I did want to mention that the NVIDIA Shield in China is getting GameCube and Wii remasters of games. So that kind of bodes well for maybe them coming to Virtual Console or repackaged in some way. They're getting Mario Galaxy 1, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Punch-Out, and new Super Mario Bros. Wii, all in 1080p high res on the NVIDIA Shield. So
yeah, and just to let everybody know that that tablet is $200 in China. So it's not like you already got a particular tablet and now you can buy those games. No, you have to buy this tablet in order to play those games.
Yeah. There's two things I want to mention about this thing. The NVIDIA tablet, it is available here in America, but not the games, just the tablet. Those games are not available here. But the Switch runs on the same basic architecture that the NVIDIA Shield runs on. And the games that they are producing out there are not just up-res assets, they are new assets that they have recreated for this version of the game, of these games. So I would really like to hopefully see these games come out.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost, I know it's not confirmed, but it's almost like, why would you redo assets for all these games just to release them in one territory? Like, especially like popular games like Super Mario Galaxy and new Super Mario Brothers and Punch-Out. And Zelda, I know, has already been redone for Wii U, so I'm just assuming it's that version. But at the same time, these other games, man.
A lot of people got to realize that China had a ban on video game consoles. So for Nintendo to produce GameCube and Wii, for them to play those games separately, it would have make no sense. You know, they just released a ban, I think, like last year or a couple of years ago. So Nintendo wants to introduce those new players who mostly game on PC. They want to introduce those players to something that Nintendo has made over the past years that they missed. You know, that wasn't bootleg or anything like that. You know, these rare ports of these old games, people could play them and find something fun about them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good that Nintendo is at least offering this to that market, because there's some jewel games in GameCube and Wii that I believe the people in China really would love to play.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be some sort of weird announcement next year, but it just gets me excited because, like, that just means if they're doing that, like the GameCube stuff for them, like, finally going to get GameCube games at some point. Sorry.
Then the list of all the GameCube games that everybody wants.
I'm going to be like, I'm already poor, and like the list for me for GameCube games is so long.
Yeah, but that's why I said the list of games that people are going to want for that. Even with we added on, it's going to be long. It's going to be long. It's going to be ridiculous.
GameCube alone, like you just look at the Nintendo titles, like the Nintendo first party titles, and you're like, you've got 2 Metroid games, you've got two Zelda games, you've got a Mario game, you've got the second best Mario Kart ever, you've got 9,000 Mario Party games, you've got 2 Star Fox games. You know, there's so much on the GameCube, and that's not even mentioning like weird games that I loved on there, like Extreme G or
Odama,
SSX or Odama or Pikmin 1 and 2 potentially, you know, like so good. Luigi's Mansion,
Beautiful Joe 1 and 2,
everybody's favorite Smash Brothers game,
Killer 7, a game that everybody wants back. Everybody wants Killer 7 to be back on consoles.
Yeah,
or on a Nintendo console, I should say.
There's just a lot there, and it just makes me happy and sad at the same time because I'm like, my wallet's already empty. So, I don't know. That's kind of the big news. Also, though, I do want to mention WWE 2K18 is out. The physical copy is out for Switch. Does require a memory card. So, if you want to play that game, yeah, sure. I heard this version, not the Switch version, but this year's version in general is one of the worst WWE products they've put out in a while. So, just warning you, I haven't played it. I don't know people who have played this year's wrestling game.
Yeah.
But just
research it.
Yeah.
I say
just do your research before you buy. The Switch version is feature complete with the other versions, so like if you are going to get the Switch version, you can expect a similar treatment that NBA 2K18 got for Switch, but just like Ed said, do your research. This game is, I've heard some interesting things about it, so
yes.
But that's kind of all the information I got now. What do we want to talk about, Ed? We've got a roadmap for Switch 2018 and beyond. We've got Game of the Year discussions.
I mean, our Game of the Year discussion will happen later because we got to get titles and games and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be next week. I think we decided on that. So,
next week. Yeah. Earlier, like last month, we talked about Microsoft putting some of their games on other platforms, and how we talked about what games that Microsoft could do. And then later on down the line, we heard that Sony is planning to put some titles on Switch. Like I think through one of their different developers and stuff.
Sony Music Entertainment has they've developed some sort of game publishing label outside of PlayStation to publish, and Tiny Troopers or something, Tiny something.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it's that Advance Wars like game they're publishing. Sony is publishing on all the consoles except for Xbox. So go figure.
So for all you who are watching this, do you think Valve should also jump on board? And
they're publishing Portal Bridge Constructor on Switch.
Don't nobody care about that.
I don't know. I think you're wrong. I've heard a lot of people are really excited for that game.
I heard that it's yeah.
I mean, it's not a real Portal game. It's Bridge Constructor. But
do you think Valve can incorporate something like Steam on Nintendo Switch?
No, I don't think Nintendo wants anything to do with like Steam or anything. I don't think Valve is interested in working with Nintendo either. I just think they're two entities that function separate. They're two different game spaces. They're two different audiences. There's crossover obviously, but like they're just two different audiences. The way Valve works is so different from what Nintendo is trying to do right now. Like I think Valve could port some, like I think Portal would be an awesome game to have on Switch, but like outside of publishing titles on the Switch, like I don't think Valve would ever like really work with Nintendo to do something specific, you know.
Well, did you think they should? Or my general question is, do you think Valve should return to video games?
No, I don't really care about Valve's games. So, and the only game I like is Portal. I don't care for Valve's games, so I really don't care. That's a question for like a PC podcast or like maybe Arsenal X. We could have that discussion, but like Valve as a company, they make so much money off of the digital marketplace.
Yeah.
And they make so much money off of Dota cosmetics and tournaments and Counter-Strike and stuff like that their business model has shifted from developing games to like producing a marketplace where people feel like they can purchase games safely. They their game development stuff. Look at Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike's what, 10 years old now? Like,
yeah,
they have mastered the games as service model with Dota and Counter-Strike, and this new card game that they're putting out. All of their writers left, all of their main developers left. Like, the only thing that's left there are, people say Valve is the company that developers go to retire now because they don't need to do much. Plus like Valve does so much stuff outside of the video game space with research and development for other companies now, in terms of like stuff that we don't really read about, like medical stuff or military stuff. They develop programs for military training and medical training now, and working in AR and VR and trying to do Square-Enix did that Deus Ex initiative where they're helping fund and develop prosthetics. Valve's doing the same thing. And so I think Valve's business model has changed so much from the late 90s, early 2000s that, if they never develop another video game, that's fine with them. They license their stuff out. There's been...
that was going to be my next question. Do you think they should license their games out?
I think
to a developer who would do it justice.
I think that would be a great idea. I think there's a lot of developers. We talk about how Nintendo could license out their stuff to like Yacht Club or Way Forward for Metroid or some of these other small indie companies just to give us some download experiences. But like Valve is in an even better position to do that because they have so many licenses that people care about. You look at, I think, you give Half-Life 3 to Machine Games and Bethesda, like they partner and do something like that. Or you give the company that did the Turing test, you give them Portal 3, or you give these companies, or you give these Valve titles to these companies. Bethesda's doing great work in the story-driven first-person space to where like Half-Life would probably be the perfect project for them, and Machine Games specifically. There's a lot of developers that could do a lot of things with those, because developers now are like newer developers are gamers that grew up playing those games now. We grew up playing Mario and Zelda, and so did a lot of the indie boom during the Xbox 360 era. A lot of people coming into the industry now trying to develop games grew up playing Half-Life and some of these other Valve games, Counter-Strike and stuff. So maybe you give I think something like Dota, if you want to expand that into other genres. They're doing the card game, but something League of Legends was looking into was making a fighting game out of their heroes. What if Valve licensed Dota out to a fighting developer, like an indie fighting game developer? Or what if they licensed Portal out to, I don't know, like some, you know what I mean? Like they're in a better position to do that than Nintendo ever would be, just because Nintendo, their business is developing, whereas Valve's business model has changed so drastically in the last 10 years that it's like,
well, it's weird because people are iffy about Valve and people are okay with Valve, meaning that they like what they're doing with some of the stuff on Steam, but they don't like some of the communities. They don't like some of the policies that Valve is doing. They don't like this new green light system, and like with the Alex Moore thing, how Valve just took her word over the actual publishers without doing no kind of research. Valve has become such Valve is a bunch of confusion right now. And until they get stuff sorted out, I think a lot of console players who don't play PC don't stop thinking about Valve in the long run. Like, people don't think about Valve like they used to think of it back in the day. And it feels like what you say, retirement, because they got so much money, they don't really have to do anything. I think that's something that's kind of made them lazy, a little bit cynical, and is kind of might be the reason that Valve might end up being not non-existent, but will stay unimportant to a lot of console makers and a lot of people who play on console.
I think Valve is unimportant to consoles now. I don't ever want to call developers lazy, because there's certain aspects where you could point fingers and stuff, but like I said earlier, like Valve's business model has shifted so much towards the PC marketplace, like selling games, making a profit off of that, and Dota and stuff like that. I just think people have. Here's the thing. I don't know if Valve has ever resonated with console gamers, except for the fact that Left 4 Dead was an Xbox exclusive for a long time. Well, PC and Xbox, but like they could license that out to like the Payday developers, or there's cool things they could do with their franchises. They just could license them out and say, okay, we'll publish it, but like you develop it, and they have. I don't know. I just don't think they resonate with console gamers anymore. Like they never really have.
It's you know what? It's not even with console gamers. Calling them lazy showcases that they allow that money to drive the developers' ambition and love of making games away.
Well, they don't pay developers anymore. Their developers are engineers now. They've gone the way of
and that's why I say that
platform instead of
that's why I say that money has driven them away. You know, yeah, they're now become engineers, but when you read stories about people who left Valve and stuff like that, and it feels like you have a passion for making games, and
well, then those people have left Valve to make better games or do their own projects. They like. It's I mean that if they still have the drive to develop games, they're going to leave Valve, and like they have, you know, there's not many big names left at Valve. You know, Gabe Newell's the only person left there, and that's because he runs the company. You know, like all the Portal writers and developers have left, all of the Half-Life writers have left, all of the Left 4 Dead developers left and made what's that game that came out at the beginning of this generation? Evolve. You know. Mm-hmm. Like those guys are all gone. It's like it's really just a team of engineers and retiring game developers to make hats for their most successful game of all time. So.
And that's kind of sad that a company does that to do that to people who used to love working there. Like been a developer to a digital platform, a lot of people who have voiced their opinion is just like, why? And so that's why I asked the question, if Valve was able to get, hypothetical, if Valve wanted to go back into developing games and having some kind of platform, and they decided to work with Nintendo to bring up a Steam like it's not actual Steam, but actually be able to bring like a Valve system a Valve kind of system for their games. Like
Nintendo already has the eShop, they wouldn't do that.
But kind of almost like crossplay, like not crossplay. Like if you buy a game on Switch, it goes to like your account for Steam on PC, or if it's like can't really say Windows 10 because that's more Microsoft. But if it had something like that if you bought something do a Valve store, you get to choose between Switch or the PC, or you could do both at a discount or something like that. But it's not other third party, it's just strictly Valve games. Like they're like Nintendo specific indie Valve games that you could be able to make, for a Steam account on PC and be able to play with Steam users or things like that. Like if Valve decided to get back into that, do you think that would be a major win for Nintendo and Valve? Or because there's still money, because they're still rolling in the money, none of that even matters? Like that people don't want that to exist.
I mean, I just don't even think they just don't even care. Like they're rolling in so much money that I just don't even think it matters. And like I said, if Valve would do that, there would have to be like a Valve specific app for Switch that people would probably have to buy into, and then it would like if you're doing like a cross buy thing, it would have to be like, okay, I bought this game on on Steam, and you'll be emailed a code to download it on your Switch or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't even know if Valve would even care to do that, because that's losing money for the indie developer, that's losing money for Valve, that's losing money for Nintendo. Like, everybody's losing a piece of that pie, to the point where why?
But it would only be Valve and Nintendo, because Valve has developers making those games. No one else outside of Valve is making it. Everybody is all in-house at Valve.
I don't think Nintendo fans care enough about Valve to even try to do that. Honestly, like, I don't know.
So do you think Valve is just? Do you think Valve is just not important enough? Important enough to be on any console?
No,
it just needs to stay on PC.
Valve is a PC entity, and that's where it makes all their money, and that's where it's most important. And everyone else, like, if you own an Xbox One, all those games they put on Xbox 360 are backwards compatible. If you're a PS4 owner, then you just don't get those games. It sucks. Like, I would like to play Portal on Switch or PS4, or I can play it on my Xbox One, but it's still the 360 version. So, like, I would love to see games like that on Switch. I think Portal is the perfect fit for Switch. You solve a puzzle, you solve a room, you save your game, you move on. Like, you can play it for 10 minutes, or you can play it for 3 hours. Portal is the perfect Switch game. But at the same time, like, I don't think Valve even wants to even consider making the effort to even porting those games to Switch. It's just it's sad, because, like, I think Portal would sell amazing on Switch, like, let alone the other consoles. Like, if they ported it to all three of the major consoles, I think it would sell gangbusters. I think Portal is just as important to the gaming space as Skyrim. I think Portal has sold that many copies. If not that many copies, it's probably close before they remastered it for PS1 and Xbox, or PS4 and Xbox One. Skyrim, like, I think Portal and Portal 2 specifically, like, that game probably sold so many copies across all three of those platforms. And, like, to remaster it and put it on Switch for like $20-$30, like, people would go nuts. Or if you bundled them both together for $40, like, people would go nuts. But
I just
feel like Valve is a different company than they were even 5 years ago. They're trying to just do so many different things, and it's just a machine now. There's no, like, there's a difference between calling a developer lazy, which I don't think Valve is lazy, but they don't have the developers with the heart to develop games anymore. They have developers there that will make them Dota skins, make them Dota maps, and update Dota every year for the Invitational, and that's what they do. And they have up and coming developers basing a card game off of Dota, which is their next big cash cow. They're looking for ways to make money. They are a business. They are evil's the wrong word, but, like, they look at video games like a company like EA does, where, like, they're in it to make the money now. Development costs too much money for them. They're looking to min-max their profits. They make 30% off of every game sold on Steam. They're going to make a ton of money off the Dota card game. They're already making a ton of money off of Dota skins. That's the company now. And whether fans like it or not, that's the company. And that's what we're going to have to deal with until Gabe Newell retires, sells the company, or someone else takes over the company and says, look, we have all these great IP, what can we do with them? And that's not going to be for a while, because as long as Gabe Newell is doing these things, and plus funding the research and development of virtual reality, augmented reality, all these other non-gaming related things that they do,
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, they don't get me wrong, they've done well as a company, like as a company, as a business, they are doing well. But what gamers want from them, it's different, you know. It's just different.
Then my last question: do you think Nintendo will welcome Blizzard?
Yes.
And
yes, because I used to think Valve and Blizzard, like 10 years ago, you look at Valve and you look at Blizzard, they are two companies that were comparable, right? They have franchises that people love. They put out maybe one or maybe two major games a year that people love, people still play. And like Blizzard games would fit so well on the Switch on Nintendo platforms. Overwatch, you got that fun, cartoony looking art style, runs on everything under the sun. You know, they make great games that run on underpowered hardware. You know, Diablo's a great loot-based game that we don't have very many things of on Switch. You know, we have Skyrim now, but that's not the same. You have Nine Parchments, and which is kind of like the indie version of Diablo, but like Diablo would fit well. I'm not sure like how RTS would really work on there, but if you would, I don't really know how RTS would really work on Switch, but like you have your big games like Diablo and Overwatch on Switch, like that would be incredible, you know. I think Blizzard works better on Nintendo platforms than Valve could even hope to right now.
Do you think Valve would get jealous?
No.
Or they would be upset?
I don't think Valve cares because they like Blizzard sell, like if you're talking PC entities, Blizzard sells games through their storefront. They sell their own games through their own storefront. They're not on Steam, they're not on EA Origins, they're not on anything else, you know. They sell games through their own platform. And Destiny 2 is the first game that they've sold that's not their own game. Whereas Valve sells everybody's games. So like
what Blizzard's system will work on Switch, or you know, like just Blizzard selling their games on Switch.
I think Blizzard would just sell their games through the eShop like they do on Xbox Live or PSN. You know, they sell those games straightforward. You know, Xbox gets 30% and then Blizzard gets the rest. You know, I think, you know, once Nintendo's online service is up and running and has a decent infrastructure, I mean, we see games have microtransactions on Switch already and expansion passes and stuff already. I don't see why Overwatch couldn't be on Switch, honestly. You know, maybe not the optimal way to play the game, but it still would be there. It'd be like running Doom or Wolfenstein, pretty much. You just have to be connected to the internet. And I would love to have Overwatch on Switch. I like Overwatch.
I literally would love to see what League of Legends would do on Switch versus Dota. I would, if they could do crossplay for League of Legends.
Though. They require so many hotkeys and so many, like League of Legends and Dota specifically use every single key on the keyboard. How would you even remotely try to do that on a controller? They would have to build specific versions from the ground up, and they don't want to do that because they're already too successful on one platform.
I think they could simplify
I think you would have to look at games like Paragon or Smite or you know, games that are already developed with console in mind to even, like, I think those games would work much better and much smarter on console than Dota or League ever would.
Well, I think a stripped down version of League of Legends can work on Switch.
They're not going to do that because they've already got it functioning on a platform that people love.
Well, yeah, but that's to a particular community who's been used to that, you know. And a lot of console, like, I feel like with League of Legends, like simplifying for console users will probably entice them to like want to play more, and they could get a better version of it on PC through Blizzard. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, But that strategy has worked. That people look at Pokemon Go for example. That people who never played a Pokemon game but played Pokemon Go kind of probably went out and bought a 3DS to play Pokemon Sun and some of the past games. If Blizzard could do something like that with League of Legends or even Hearthstone for that matter, like if I just feel like if they was able to get League of Legends running on Switch, and let's be hypothetical. Let's just say that they do get League of Legends running on Switch and they offer a keyboard that you could plug in and use on it. And of course, if people don't want to try to build a PC or like spend enough money getting a PC to run that game, if they could run that game on Switch with a keyboard and maybe sell it as $100 package. You get the game, a nice instruction booklet, and artwork, maybe a CD or something, and the keyboard for $100. If they were able to do that on Switch,
they're not going to do that though. When you can get the game already for free on PC, they're just not going to do that.
But the thing about it is, if I'm just be saying hypothetical though, but if Blizzard did that, what would that mean for Dota? Let's just say Blizzard did
own League.
That. I thought they did.
No, League's Riot Games owns League, and Riot Games is its own thing.
Oh, I thought. Sorry, Blizzard.
No, Blizzard's MOBA is Heroes of the Storm, which would probably work on console.
Oh,
because it's a very simplified version of a MOBA.
Oh, mobile. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. I kept saying Blizzard and League of Legends. I thought League was by Blizzard. That's why. Because I know League of Legends is big, but a lot of people don't talk about Riot Games, or I just not part of that community. So I forgive me, everybody. I'm wrong. Sorry.
I mean, but, even if you weren't mentioning Blizzard, like you still were making like a conversation point.
Yeah, if Riot Games were able to put League, like, and that expanded its base versus Dota, what would happen? Did you think nothing would happen?
Well, League of Legends is already bigger than Dota because it has a worldwide player base, whereas Dota, even though it has a worldwide player base, is like restricted in some regions, and like it just. League of Legends is, I don't really know how it works because I'm not in that community, but I know League of Legends is already bigger than Dota. I just don't know how it works. That would be like, I don't even know who you would talk to. There's a podcast where they talk about Dota all the time called Rebel FM, and they talk about Dota all the time. So
yeah.
I don't know, maybe like a Nintendo podcast isn't the greatest place to talk about that, but going back on your point of like Blizzard, I think Blizzard is at least looking at the Switch for certain things. I think someone at Valve is looking at Switch for certain things. Valve's business model is so ingrained in selling stuff now and not developing. And like Blizzard is a special company in terms of like they want to make sure their games are perfect before they send them out. And I think that's why everybody loves them. I think Blizzard is the Western version of Nintendo. They have IP that everybody loves. They take great pride and great care of their IP. They make sure their games work perfect before they send them out.
Yes.
And I think that those two companies would work very well together. That said, I think if Blizzard was to work with Nintendo, they would really have to polish and really work out the kinks, just for the simple fact that the Switch is different architecture than Xbox One, PS4, or PC. Not that they can't do it. I just think they want to make sure that the games run well before they release them. I think Diablo, whatever's next for the Diablo franchise, I have no doubt in my mind that the next Diablo game will be on Switch. I really do. I really think so. I really think it will be. Mm-hmm. Overwatch is a different animal because I think Blizzard wants because you have to be connected to the internet to play Overwatch.
Yes.
And like we have examples like Splatoon where like you can connect to a mobile phone to play outside of your home, but at the same time Overwatch requires the constant internet connectivity. It requires you to, have a sufficient internet connection. And until Nintendo's online infrastructure is set up and kind of proven,
yes,
I don't know if we're going to see Overwatch until then. And we might never see Overwatch. It might be too late for Overwatch. But whatever they're working on, like a sequel to Overwatch or, something new, I think whatever Blizzard's working on, the next game they put out will make its way to Switch at some point. And I'm thinking it's Diablo. They've put out StarCraft recently. Like StarCraft 2 has come out after Diablo 3. Overwatch is massive. World of Warcraft is its own beast. But I really do think that whatever's next for Diablo specifically will make its way to Switch at some point.
Do you think Blizzard could make a side game of Overwatch where side game as in it's kind of something like fitting for Switch, like it has local play, it don't always have to be online.
There was a rumor that they were working on mini single player vignettes for each of the characters, just because they're like, well, how do we get people to test out the characters without having to feel down about jumping into a multiplayer match and really just kind of getting killed or whatever, right when they jump in. Which, I did that and it was fine, but a lot of people get discouraged when they do that. And so they did create a tutorial kind of level where you can jump in and test characters out and their abilities and stuff. But it's not the same as they want to tell the stories that they've been telling, online or in their comics or in their little mini videos that they release. They want to let players play through the story, I think. And I think that next year at BlizzCon, I think we'll see something Overwatch related. And I think it's going to be single player focused or maybe co-op multiplayer focused.
Would you be cool if they did a 7 level character episode? It's kind of episodic. So
well, I think that's their plan, is to do an episodic type thing where maybe you're only playing through 2 or 3, maybe 4 levels as a character, and then they'll release another one based on another character, and then they'll release another one.
Because I don't know how many characters.
There's 26 characters now.
There's 26 characters. Okay.
I don't like I said, that's something they were talking about that they were interested in doing. I don't know if that's going to happen. That was an interview a year ago that they were interested in doing single player stuff, and they were researching to see how it could benefit if it would benefit the game at all or not. So I don't know.
Because I think it would be cool to do five characters for $15 as a season, and each of them kind of have 4, like you said, 3 to 4 levels. Probably have 4 levels for each character. So that's 20 levels for $15. And they could be maybe about 4 to 5 minutes long.
Well,
nothing too.
What I think they would do is they are very clear. You can pick whoever you want on your team, obviously, but they're in the character stories of Overwatch. There are very clear good guys and there are very clear bad guys. And what I think they would do, a good campaign and a evil campaign. And I think that's how you would do it.
So, what, 3 and 3?
I don't
in a way?
I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Like maybe like a 7 or 8 level campaign for each of them, and maybe like 2 or 3 hours at the most. Just because they said anything they release for Overwatch is going to be free, just because they've made so much money off of that game, and they fund the game through the loot boxes anyway.
But like for a side game for Switch, something $15 episodic for Switch like that. I could see with the good like versus evil, or a good story, bad story, or evil story for
if they were to release a new like single player focused Overwatch game, I think they would just do like a $40 game, and it would just be a campaign, or they would release a new $60 version where you got the multiplayer game that's out now and then the single player campaign.
Okay.
I think that's honestly how they would do it. And then like if Blizzard was to do a campaign style thing, it would be kind of like Halo 2 where you would switch back and forth.
Ooh. I like that.
Between the two, and then maybe they converge at the end or whatever, but I don't know.
I think that would be cool, that Halo 2 one. Mm-hmm. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think if they were to do some sort of campaign for Overwatch, that's how they would do it, because there are very clear good guys and there are very clear bad guys, and each group has their like leaders that you would probably play as, and then you would learn you would use the character's special abilities, obviously, to make your way through the campaign. The campaign would be designed with character powers in mind.
Okay. Well, that's all I had.
That was a very weird discussion to have on a Nintendo podcast.
But I think it's cool to visit something like that, because to talk about Microsoft is Sony bringing some form of content to Nintendo. Why not at PC? Why not try to see what Valve would do and stuff? Or a lot like
honestly at this point, before you finish on your Valve point, like I think the most that would happen from Valve games would be ports, honestly, of like the Orange Box or Half-Life 1 and 2 bundle, or like the one that would make the most sense right now would be Portal, honestly, like a Portal bundle. But other than that, like I don't really see anything from Valve. So
because like people in the future of Valve still around, them going back to those old games, they would probably say that is dated, and it's kind of sad that they will just be forgotten in a sense. And I think a lot of people I think Blizzard games will just skyrocket more Switches to be brought, that people will have more purpose to buy it. But I think a lot of people will have more faith in Blizzard and even Riot Games if they bring lead. If they brought their games to Nintendo platform in any way, any shape, way, or form that they want to do. And it's price reasonable and it's fun and they work it out. Because I would love to see Blizzard like learn Nintendo's console and learn how they could make a game and go through some struggles and stuff like that, so that if they decide to continue on, they know the ins and outs and they know the tricks, and they be like, oh, okay, I see how that works. Like I think Blizzard is good enough and smart enough to tackle those kind of difficult moments, but be able to present a really well developed game. And to see a Blizzard game on a Nintendo console, that's more money for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was an episode. That was an episode of Nintendo Pow Block.
Yes.
Oh man. Remember, you can email the show at nintendopowblock@gmail.com. I do have a bunch of questions saved. Maybe we'll do that on Thursday. Maybe we'll do a question block episode. If you're tweeting at us, remember to tweet at NGR Radio podcast with the hashtag Pow Block so we can read your questions from there as well. Also look for our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Nintendo Pow Block, and look for our question thread there. We always, I need to do better at the social media aspect of this stuff, but
me too.
We're switching some things up, getting ready for 2018. I'm really excited.
Yes.
Let's see. Like, subscribe, and share the NGR Radio YouTube page. Just search Nerds Gone Rogue or Nintendo Pow Block or whatever. So, Ed, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at @ThatPressureCode, and you can check out my podcast, Optional Opinion, on SoundCloud. And also check out Arsenal X and World 11 Podcasts here on NGRradio.com. Friday, everybody, will be the showcase of NGR Radio's buyer's guide. So hopefully you guys will read it, give it a look over, hopefully some games that's on it that you guys will pick up or even go revisit if you're getting a new system this year.
Yeah. You can find me at CoreyNHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on NGR Radio and a plethora of shows on the NGR Radio network, I guess. Check out our website, ngrradio.com. Let's see what else. Download our family of shows, Arsenal X, World 11, Nerds Gone Platinum, and of course, NGR Radio. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, we love you.
Bye, everybody. Woohoo!